Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, seen here looking like a chomo who's just happy he got caught finally, tried to be real shady with his questioning and his agenda when he tried to finagle some information out of a expert when it comes to appropriating House seats and Senate seats with the population in the census.
Are illegal immigrants counted in the U.S. Census?
Yes.
Why?
They have a usual residence in the United States.
Okay.
Now, before you get excited, MAGA, let me explain something to you. Had I been the guy sitting there when that question was asked, I would have said, because the Constitution said so. The Constitution says to count everybody. That's right, MAGA. Everybody, no matter what their status is. The Founding Fathers said it. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution talks about how you take the census, how the representation goes, when you should take the census every 10 years, and who is involved. Congressman Burchett knows this, but he's trying to put out an agenda to say illegal immigrants are mucking up the system.
Is that data collected by the census used to decide how many congressional districts and electoral college votes a state gets?
It is.
And it's true that states with high numbers of illegal immigrants, like California or New York, are typically Democrat states?
Correct, as is Texas.
Yes.
You see what I'm talking about? He tried to put California and New York in there, but Director Santos was a little bit more savvy, and he said, hey, so does Texas. Texas uses those same immigrants for their population and their electoral count. Then he tried to move on to get his agenda off and pass off the conversation.
By counting illegal immigrants, these states receive more electoral votes and seats in Congress. Doesn't that mean that Democrats benefit from illegal immigration? You're a scientist.
I am a scientist. That's the way the math works out.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Director Santos is not a politician because, he's a scientist. He's not going to say, well, wait a minute, Senator, there are a lot of states that benefit from immigrants, illegal or otherwise, when it's time for the census count. But he passed it off to the wrong person.
Listen, when you're counting people, you're not just counting voters. You count children, don't you?
Correct.
You count a lot of people that aren't necessarily voters.
Remember when I said everybody? The census is for everybody. The government needs to know how many people are here for representation, but also to know where the dollars are going. But the political parties also use those same census records to know how to politic in their districts. And they need those numbers to learn how to map out their districts. Gerrymandering. And she's going to talk about it.
This is hilarious to me. Texas added 2 seats. We know that specifically Texas added 4 million people. Of those 4 million people, do you want to take a guess at how many were Anglos? Just a guess.
I'd say a majority.
180,000. That's it, of 4 million. 95% of the people that were added. And we know that when it comes to minority populations, they tend to be undercounted. So get this. We added 4 million people. They were people of color. Texas got 2 new seats. So they took those black and brown and Asian bodies. And guess what? Do you think that we got a new black, brown, or Asian seat? Somehow, the way that they do their Republican math in the state of Texas, that amounted to 2 new white seats. Guess what? White Republican seats. We got 2 new Republican seats out of 4 million people of color. So let me tell you, they love to use our bodies to apportion us in an inaccurate way.
She's not lying. Here's what they do. Like she said, they would take a heavily urban populated area for the numbers, but they will finagle the districts so that some of the rural, more white areas will get more bodies in that district in order for them to get more representation and more Republicans in that district. Take a look at this map here. This is the bottom half of Alabama where the court had to decide on the map because the Republicans were finagling the map to add another quote unquote Republican white district when they knew it was heavily populated black. I'm from Mobile County. Look at the bottom on the bottom left. That's Mobile County. Look at what they did to District 2. They bled District 2 into the city of Mobile, right there on the edge between Baldwin County and Mobile. That's the city of Mobile. That's heavily populated black. They took that area, put it in with the rest of the black people, and look at how they cut up Mobile County. Baldwin County, Escambia, most of those areas are heavily populated white. So they took the black people and bunched them in all the way up to Montgomery County. How in the hell can one person represent everybody from Mobile to Montgomery? Those are 2 separate districts, but both areas are heavily populated black. So they try to bunch them all in, but at the same time, spread them all out. And it weakens the district. She wasn't lying. And just to be on the safe side, they add more people to that district. And Congressman Crockett is going to explain to you how they add more people without adding more people.
It is called prison gerrymandering. But here is the reality. The numbers show that in rural Texas, they were constantly bleeding population. Urban Texas was growing exponentially. But what they do is they count inmates where they are imprisoned instead of counting them where it is that they will return to. So their family members that are in Dallas, Texas, or Houston, or wherever, their family members, when they need something, they call us, even if it's relating to that inmate. But somehow rural Texas is getting better roads than they probably deserve because they're counting those inmates that are not driving on those roads. They're counting those inmates that are not using their hospitals. They're counting those inmates whose children are not attending their schools because of prison gerrymandering. So again, Republicans are really good about using black and brown bodies, because I can also tell you that the numbers are clear that we have a black and brown incarceration issue, not just in Texas, but in this country. And in fact, the state of Texas incarcerates more people than any other independent democratic country. That is how bad our incarceration is just in the state of Texas.
I told you guys in the last post that I did a couple of days ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, that America has not gotten over its slavery problem. And she just proved it when she talked about the prison gerrymandering. Take a look at that article that I showed you guys before. And this time, pause to read, or don't worry about it, I got you. It says, representatives in direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons. Remember when I said everybody gets counted? To include illegals? That's that part. Including those bound to service for a term of years, that's prison, and excluding Indians not taxed, those are reservations, and 3/5 of other persons, those are slaves. But we got rid of slavery, or at least that's what they try to tell us they did. So the South needed to make up those numbers. So what did the South do? They started building prisons. And though those people lose their constitutional right to vote, the state still uses those prison population numbers in their census numbers to get more money in that state, and to get more electoral college votes in that state, and to get more congressional representation in that state. Am I lying? What do you think?